There. This is the third in the video series, kind of the commentary on the book Leading the Agile Transformation, the story behind it. I'm still in the introduction, and one thing I wanted to highlight here is, in this case, the main protagonist, Bob, is in a prologue in the meeting, and he's distracted, right? His mind's wandering. The morning's frustration was part of that, but what the problem underneath that is that this had become the norm, right? I think what we find in that case, if this is now the normalized way of like not having work-life balance or overwork or whatever that might be, it pours into other areas. So here he's not sleeping well, he's late to work, he's having trouble focusing. Now he's got to stay late just to catch up. So there's a difference. What I've seen is a lot of people would say in challenging circumstances, you're either moving forward or moving backwards. Think about relationships, right? Where either that relationship's moving forward and getting better, or it's moving backwards or not. They don't Healthy things grow. So we're not like staying static. And I think in these patterns of that, I'm always looking for, is this an upward, spiral or a downward spiral? And for him, it's a downward spiral. It's a self-reinforcing loop of, now that I'm not focused at work, I'm feeling bad about that. So I got to put in more work. So now I'm staying later, which is actually damaging the relationship more, which is now more on my mind. So I'm distracted at work. And because I'm distracted at work, I'm not putting quality work. And so I should probably stay late to, right? Um, and there's also just tapes that we would play ourselves that kind of reinforce that. Even if it's not the case and it's not true, we'll tell ourselves those things. And I think what we have to do is kind of challenge it and say, is that, how do I know that to be true? Give me, look through my examples. Am I really doing poor work? Has anyone said anything? Things like that. But in this case, that's part of it, that compounding problem for us. And the second thing I would add on all of this is the reality that we're not, as I like to joke in the class, we're not moist robots. So if we're challenging, maybe a loved one's sick, maybe there's financial difficulties at home, those things affect us. So, for example, not losing sleep because our mind's spending time on that. Well, now clearly without sleep, we're not performing well at work, or we're too busy to exercise, or we're too busy to eat well, so we just grab something from a fast food place on the way home. But those problems compound. So it's more about what's the system that we're working that keeps layering on that. It's nice to kind of have the saying of like work-life balance and self-care, but it really is true. You will perform better if you get enough sleep, eat well, take care of yourself, etc. And all these other basic patterns that you can kind of cut in, just like we would in Agile or Scrum, where you do something and inspect and adapt. It could be like move the bedtime earlier, try a different diet, next week, or when you set the alarm clock early to get to work on time, things like that. So just want to keep that in mind as well.